Molotov Cocktail, a weapon that goes by many names such as the burning bottle, bottle bomb, petrol bomb, or the poor man's grenade. This is one of the most widely used improvised weapons of the 20th and 21st centuries. As these weapons are easy to make and have a powerful effect, they have been infamous weapons used during riots and used by underdog military forces, called to defend their lands against often better equipped armies. The Spanish were the first to use the modern Molotov cocktail as we know it during the Spanish Civil War against Soviet T-26 tanks. The Finns are likely the best example of the underdog defender who used Molotov cocktails to defend against the larger invading Soviet army during the Winter War of 1939. The name Molotov cocktail was coined by the Finns during this time. They named the bomb after Vyacheslav Molotov, the Soviet foreign minister who helped establish the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact with Germany. The two nations agreed Finland would fall under Soviet influence. Molotov produced propaganda during the Winter War, stating on Soviet state radio that incendiary bombing missions over Finland were airborne humanitarian food deliveries for their starving neighbors. Times haven't changed much, have they? This is where Stalinists can dislike the video. Anyway, the Soviet incendiaries were delivered by large cluster bombs nicknamed Molotov bread baskets. Molotov cocktails were a drink to go with these generous Soviet food parcels. Molotov cocktails weren't just used by the Finns during World War II. All nations, militias, and partisans were able to make Molotov cocktails. They were effective against armor during World War II, though tank designs did begin to take such attacks into account during the second half of the war. Exhausts, air intakes, and engine compartments were specifically tested against incendiary devices. Welding over riveted designs further helped prevent burning liquid from seeping into tanks. However, even in tanks tested against Molotov cocktails, crews were always concerned by them during the war. Even if a Molotov cocktail failed to disable a tank, their burning liquid could still obstruct the view of a tanker. They further lit a tank up, exposing its position to all around. Even the heat from the fire, particularly if targeted by multiple cocktails, could become uncomfortable for the crew or the engine, drawing air from outside. Throughout World War II, no nation could rely on fully encased armored vehicles. Open-top tank destroyers and other vehicles remained highly vulnerable to cocktails, particularly in urban settings. Most countries formally trained in making and using Molotov cocktails. One American World War II training video states, "If the tank comes within throwing distance, buy them a drink, a Molotov cocktail."
Buy him a drink. Sure, a Molotov cocktail.
World War II Molotov cocktails could be factory-made or made in the field. Soldiers could use any number of readily available fuels mixed with thicker agents to make them stickier. There are a number of simple and easy ways to assemble these weapons that can't be shared on YouTube, but the point is anyone can learn to make them quickly. It is important not to attempt making them without some training, as bottles can explode in one's hand before being thrown, making them potentially very dangerous. In Ukraine, for example, the military has performed workshops for civilians to safely make Molotov cocktails for use against Russian tanks. Some militaries have further manufactured Molotov components on a mass scale to be easily distributed to soldiers and civilians. This could include igniters, custom bottles, and thickening agents. Today, Molotov cocktails are such a popular weapon during riots and unrest that most police and militaries train their riot units on how to defend against such attacks. Often dedicated riot police will be armed with fire extinguishers to aid anyone caught on fire. Unless you are Chris Hemsworth, where being hit by a Molotov cocktail makes you stronger, these are feared weapons by law enforcement and business owners during riots. Fire in general is the oldest terror weapon wielded by man. Often an attack on a home or business using fire is designed to send a strong message of violence and terror. worse than even gunfire. Witness what one Molotov cocktail does to the interior of this deli in Brooklyn, New York. The assailant attempts to throw a second Molotov cocktail, but a hero pedestrian bravely knocks the second one out of his hands. Alright, I'm Johnny. Thanks for watching. I hope the video sparked some interest. If you have any burning questions or comments, please fire away in the comments section, and we will see you next time.